So welcome everybody to our wonderful event. We're over the moon to present the 17th annual fall poetry reading here at what Bill calls the clubhouse, the Secret Handshake Gallery. I'm Honey Novick, for those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who do. It's nice to see you again, and welcome, and please feel very, very just happy being here in a room of exceptional people. So having said that, and with time of the essence, I'm going to start the event. So the first thing I want to throw out at everybody is a thought. The reason speaking out is so important is that it lowers the perceived risk of those who are both silent and still have something to say. Your courage matters, your words matter. Every voice is a key to unlocking another's. Just food for thought. So recently, I had the privilege of, well, my 5th time, of going to Hamilton to work for a brilliant organization called Keeping Six, and they publish poetry. And one of the conversations I had with one of the organizers is about the word belonging. So I don't know how you all feel, but just show me with hands. Does it mean something to you to have a sense of belonging? Anybody know? Anybody know? Well, I was the no person. I said I'd rather be accepted than have a sense of belonging. Yeah, okay. But anyway, so based on that conversation, I didn't write anything about acceptance. I did write about belonging. Oh, it's in the other book, which I maybe did not bring, but this one has a whole different conversation. This one is about body image issues, and I think it's really important to address that. Not just so what we feel about our bodies, but rather what our bodies say to us and what we perceive other people think about the way we look. So I wrote this thing, and it goes like this. Phone call from a friendly acquaintance, talking this and that, tittle and tattle, until the meat of the conversation. Do you think I eat too much? She asked of me. I hadn't noticed, was my reply. She continued. The woman who joined us at the concert suggested I join Overeaters Anonymous, she confided, adding, do you think I have an eating disorder? I said I thought the other person overstepped a boundary. It's none of her business. And that I was sorry, not apologizing, by expressing sorrow. That the other woman felt compelled to start this conversation. It is too intimate and personal for acquaintances. I do feel sorrow at this new war on women. The war resulting in eating disorders and body image issues. The feminist warriors of a longer standing battle are having their voices heard in some arenas, like choice and equal pay for equal work. Some action has to be taken, but this new patriarchal war, attack on how women view themselves, and then assault how women cope with their self-perceptions. Some women have been co-opted into waging war on other women using these personal affronts. My new battle cry is, mirror, mirror on the wall, my perceptions of me concern you not at all. I am pretty, I am kind, I am the diamond waiting for you to find. If you seek and you fail, I will still revere my own image. Hail, hail, hail.
Okay, Okay, that's enough.
Thank you. Let me see. I wasn't expecting that, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to me and being simpatico. So sometimes I like to do what's called just stream of consciousness writing. So this one is a short little one. Don't ask me where it came from. Date palm swaying in the breeze, symbol of ancient Egyptian fertility. Climb that tree, pluck those dates, let's make a delicacy to tempt the fates. OMG to the nth degree. Like I say, just doggerel. But this one I think is kind of appropriate. So my background is Jewish. I'm a practicing Nichiren Buddhist. If you're into complications, that's an interesting one. Anyway, this one, I love this one. Spider, spider up the wall. Creepy, crawly, please don't fall. 6 or 8 legs, 2 inches long, evoking a terror that is strong. Emblematic of fear, some people won't go near the creepy, crawly spider. But do you know the Old Testament story of David? David, beloved by all, running from his enemies, deadly enthrall, entered a cave, hiding patiently and brave, waiting for the enemy's passage to wave. At the opening of the cave, a spider slowly weaved a tapestry of shimmering lines so hard to believe cobwebs could stop those trying to invade while the attic was covered. David's life went on to pervade the annals of Jewish history. When as a child, my mother would admonish my squishing of spiders, saying, "They must be respected. For Jews, spiders are signs of good omen, and the moral of this tale must never be neglected. Have faith in the ugly, the unknowing, the good, for your life could be saved by fortune, not blood." So I'll just do a couple more. So this one is also from the stream of consciousness milieu. Give me a nickel and I'll tell you again, the male is a rooster, the female a hen. Don't ask me when, don't ask me how, don't ask me why they named a clock Big Ben. Give me an apple and I'll tell you again, lions sleep in a lair while bears hibernate in a den. Girls become women and boys grow into men. A plume is a feather, yet dipped in ink becomes a pen. A pen is mightier than a sword. My honor lies in giving you my word. I tell no lies, I spin no yarn. The cat loves sunning itself in the barn. The seasons are changing, time waits for no one. Each morning I wake is a miracle unsung. Okay, so this is going to be the last one. I was really thinking about sharing it, but I think I will. So we had this conversation. Once upon a time, many of us were invited to submit a poem about events in Iran. And I thought about it and I thought about it, and the only thing that I could think about was that wonderful young woman who was stoned to death because she wasn't wearing her hijab properly. It still takes my breath away. Anyway, so then I wrote this piece. I had it edited by our friend George Elliott Clark. I submitted it. And then I heard nothing. But then a man from the Writers Union contacted me and asked if I would come and be a part of his event. It was the Writers Union event at the Center for the Victims of Torture. And I went, and the man who was in charge asked if he could translate it into Farsi for the Iranian people. So it's such a big honor to me. The other woman rejected this piece, but I don't care because somebody else heard it and understood its merits. I call it Not Without a Fight, Masa Amiri. Note, I am the Canadian-born daughter of immigrants from Palestine, Israel. As a child, I was taught that Jews and Arabs are cousins, descendants of Isaac and Ishmael. When I became older, I was taught that we are enemies. To care for and speak on behalf of an Iranian cousin seemed daunting. This was the most difficult piece of writing in terms of finding my voice I've undertaken. I felt that as a caring humanist being, Jewish, Nichiren Buddhist, female, affected by how women are treated all over the world, writing this poem was a great opportunity to delve into my heart and express my humanistic aspirations. 1. Simply for not wearing your headscarf according to the aesthetic of the moral police, you were tortured, beaten, and killed. Yet your spirit will live forever free. You will never be forgotten, Masa, not without a fight. Repeat after me, not without a fight. We fight for the oddest things. We fight for laughter, to be able to laugh whenever, wherever, however we can. We fight for this. It is a right, because human vanity is comedy, but no tyranny can trust laughter. We fight to express our opinions. Our opinions have both pleasure and power, and this is mighty, like laughter. But no tyranny can trust laughter. They interpret ha 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 as a cry to kill the king. 2. Outside my window, the gentle fragrance of linden, like a zephyr, blows on the breeze. It is your breath, Masa, reaching out, kissing all of us, reminding us your spirit is free to touch anyone, everywhere. You join the historical legion of women and girls burned, slain, stoned, drowned, poisoned. You join the historical legion of gays, trans, lesbian, queer people martyred for no reason other than their otherness. You join the historical legion of those whose lives are tormented by genocide, racism, delusions of supremacy, displacement, ignorant arrogance. Those blatant acts of horror are evidence, symptoms of a spiritual deficiency. The women of Iran are strong, bold, intrepid. They got the message out on TV, on paper, on their cell phones. I learn of your torture, Masa, the violation of your human dignity, this most egregious act, and I say, your life will be honored, Masa, as well as your death. One by one, a new multitude will appear, willing to speak out, stand up. Some are burning their own headscarves and cutting their hair. Others are emerging beyond their comfort zone, willing to make a stand, knowing the perils. This is a recurring war. Once it was bras, and still it is abortion rights. These warriors say, I am here. I will not go away, not without a fight. Not without a fight. We will be fighting for the dignity of the individual, fighting for the integrity of the survivors, fighting for the innocent as well as the ignorant, to grow into wisdom for the ages, for the future of our children, fighting for a world of mutual respect. We must do so. This is the time when we truly have no choice but to fight. We must take nothing for granted. We must have hope. We must fight if forced. We will prevail. We will succeed. We will do so, but not without a fight. Not without a fight. I seek to become enlightened, woke, recognizing a spiritual connection relative to the common humanity of all living things. I want to recognize and respect the living force of all inhabitants of our Earth Mother. As such, I accept the responsibility of a steward for this great miraculous planet, our Earth Mother, and to fight with your spirit, Masa. This is my determination as a change maker, and I won't waver, not without a fight.
Not without a fight.
Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, Bill. burial poet, and Myra Gemm, mermaid singer, songwriter, mystical poet, and Naomi will, explain what they're going to do. But just let me take 1 minute to acknowledge our wonderful Bill Bissett, who organized this, who got us all. Take it away, Naomi.
I'm told I have a small voice, so I'm trying to rectify the situation. Anyway, Myra will be joining me in one piece, and after I've read a few poems, she'll be joining me in one particular poem and doing a musical accompaniment. So I'll start by reading my pieces. I'm wrapped in shadows. Ether calls my name. Much subdued, I cannot say. The periphery falls and I paint my day. The clouds of heaven are floating away, like distant starlight gone astray. In my eyes, open eyes, I find the sky, laced with broken stellar filigree, and the night opens and waters. Echoes in my mind like something painting out of time, burning ether underwater, seizing innocent shadows in a transparent sky, hearing my lullaby while the threads of filigree bind, and light echoes her refrain. Dormant whispers, hear me, and I carry a scepter in one hand and resin breathes, the dust of forgotten tales. Set a sail for mirages to swallow and coax out the flowers that fell from my dream. I'm shifting to illusion, dissolved in lost reality, a champagne of dreams integrated with mist resembling a fallen tree. A heart full of reverie I am dispatched, a foreign entity outcast, as I am dust and mist dissolved in a mask of ether, where both of us are tone deaf, touched by liturgy, tangled in shadow. You know I love you, but I am dead, locked tears inside my head, hollow echoes that ride the tide, dreams external that try to hide. Oh heaven, my tangled ride, I've lost you. Breath subsides. If only love weren't disjointed in a box, not made of a cloud that only rains, not made of whispers that aren't contained, not suspended like my refrain. I'm shifting to illusion, dissolved in lost reality, a campaign of dreams integrated with mist. I stole a piece of someone's soul. It was like a ribbon that wouldn't fold. I saw Hesperus in a field. The stars were falling, my tears were bleeding. I held onto a songbird singing, and my broken psyche watched. The wandering star, does water smell? The zephyrs rain on me, my shadow, as every shadow melts with melancholy, and I hear your heartbeat out of rhythm. I lost you in the desert, and the arid sky cried, wandering with Persephone on an open tide. Two visions echoed in my mind, and one said that I was blind, the other that I was mine. My voice is a distant song. My voice is silent, and the soul of the water wraps around me like a dream. Out of the shadows came a firefly. and ether coaxes me on. I'm pursuing a sleeping angel, tempered in the shadow's hue. The stars follow, I swallow nature's dew, and dance with filigree, tangled and subdued. Broken enigma again, and echoes break the ether rain that quenches my shadow in a dove's parade and guards my stellar veil. Can you hear my melody all gone wrong? You move me into a black heaven without you, and only my eyes can see. I am resin on a fallen tree, a shadow trapped in heresy, a cloud that only he can see, that wanders on the periphery and watches in solemnity. Silence here can never be. If I loved a butterfly, could he teach me how to fly? His dusty wings could hear an angel sing, and murmurs they could lie. My imminent thirst would only burst to travel up so high. I think it was a zephyr's breath where only I could hide. So I'd love a dragonfly and travel back in time, to a place where stars weren't born, but uttered from the sky. And now may I introduce to you the mermaid singer, Myra, Gemm. And together we will compose Black Kisses. Kisses. He blows black kisses that fall on me like hail, and I bleed flowers. And I bleed flowers. And we rest, tangled in the dark, breathing ether. The world is a lost magnet. The world is a lost magnet. Kisses fall from the sky, and I swallow my shadow. The world is a lost magnet, and I bleed flowers. And I lie where sickness overflows, and the stars burn me. I move into uncharted reverie, new dreams that speak to me. He blows black kisses. Black kisses. Fall on me like hail, and I bleed flowers. My love is wound up like a clock when out of time, and an underwater mermaid hides my shadow. Withered songs send regrets, for the constellations are gone. I breathe amorphous air I can see and hear, and candid melodies will disappear. I search for the songs that hear me as light is bent.
Naomi. That was really awesome.
So join me in thanking Naomi and Myra one more time. Next, we have a singer, songwriter, poet, a member of Workman Arts, and somebody who is just such a wonderful supporter and contributor to the arts in Toronto, Ethelrida.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Ethelrida.
Hi, I'm Ethelrida, and I'm kind of like rushing now because for once I'll be doing something different because I don't usually have the subject on love, but this time I even wrote this poem before when I didn't have anybody in mind. I didn't even know about the concept of love. This was more of like an ideal. So this is where it goes. In you, I've seen the gentleness of life. Through you, I felt the tenderness of life. And with you, my body made peace with my soul. Now they are one and reaching out to you. Yesterday, I didn't know rocks can be soft. But today, I'm even aware that they can melt. Tomorrow, I'm sure they can turn to sand because you sanctioned my denial of the impossible. Words, they can't express exactly how we feel. They're so insufficient, so to speak. Yet, my love, words' inadequacy shall be made sufficient by touch. So, we will kiss the wind that's in between our lips and clasp the moist that shall lay in between our hands, and our bodies shall fill the space between us, and let the dusk greet the dawn. Good morning.
Wow.
And then after many years of failed relationships and fear of commitments, a song called In You, I've never performed it in public because I don't know how it will come across. It's a love song. Or a love song. Here goes. This will together be my 10-minute gift. Here goes. My tribute to all of you. Who still believes in love. Because in the end, I do believe in love. I can't make a promise to love you forever. Wait, take two. just this moment. I can't even share the bit of my tomorrow, 'cause truly all I have to give and share is mine today. I may not be around each time you call me, and you may be far away just when I need you. And then disillusionment will grieve our hearts, and if we don't know each other well, we'll break apart. Countless times we tried to listen to what I didn't say. You mumbled words, yet my soul didn't hear a sound. And there were times you tried to hold me, and though I'm just a touch away from you, somehow you feel, though I am near, I'm out of reach. Our souls may not commune today, but they will tomorrow. As they have done so yesterday. Estranged from each other's arms, we'll sleep the night, let it pass, then wake up in each other's arms again at dawn, and celebrate each other's love at dawn. Thank you very, very much. Got to go. I have to attend a debut. I wish it's mine. Okay. My big outfit the World Cancer Association.
Please join me once again in just showing appreciation for
Yeah.
That was so wonderful. You're so good.
Thank you.
Yes, you deserve every kind of accolade, compliment, support, love. Yes, indeed, love.
I believe in love.
Thank you, Ethelrida.
Thank you, Roberta.
So the next person I want you to introduce to this stage is Chad Juriansza, and Chad is quite the stalwart of the Secret Handshake, president of the board or something to that effect. Published poet, I don't have a copy to show you, but he will. And very, very good friend.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Very good friend to all of us here. Chad Juriansza.
Yay!
Bye.
Need help?
So beautiful. bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank
You were
very
great.
much.
You were great.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you, bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
This is a book. It's called Notes from a Journey, and you could buy it from the Secret Handshake here. There's copies in the back there if you ever want. Or you can just read it or buy whatever. I'll read this now. I hope everyone's ready. Orange pico growing within the fields of Ceylon. Plucked fresh tea leaves. Gray tea leaves for the monk on Adam's feet. Every cup kept hot in my teapot. A Buddhist chants for Sigiriya. Water brings tea for the pack. Water encourages alligators to rise from the sacred traps. Kettle boils amidst a new day. Rise and shine. Black tea, green tea, herbal tea. Awake, loose leaf tea, gunpowder tea, pack tea. Shaman deity of the day. Bring us close together, going to black, not white. No matter the kind or the spice, to the lion fortress we have come. Black priest of Sigiriya, Ravana, man or woman. Beloved, water drunk, my passion juice is delicious. Growth state of mind, where we rise to the top of nowhere. Fantasy of the night. Beloved altar, now ablaze with incense. Fruit and cup, wine of desire, I am one with the galaxy forever. Hiking in the woods, finding a cave, a tomb is found. The tomb is surrounded by burning incense, musk odor. A stream of water can be heard amongst the forest creatures. Suddenly a bear appears, and the scent of blood is in the air. Behold, the ferocious bear appears to be a dead body. Pandemic, flu, elderly people, death, fear. There is a plague. People are dying. What can one do to stay home? Perhaps we can save lives. Finally, we have hope. Vaccine shot. Life can be difficult, but I love it. I would look at the stars before and dream of the afterlife. Now I dream of this life. Places we've all dreamt of become places of challenge. Grasping for life, we've reincarnated. We are alive for now. How will we survive when everyone is dead? Canada, crazy country, cool cats column, characters confidentially, cautious, continuous cascade, crying carefully, can't comprehend Copenhagen. How dubious you will be, drunk monk, Lord Buddha, flatten my mind, blind and won't see, the royalties found when using knowledge. Kiss kinky kids, kill pig, shit dick, wimp, silly. Pipes ablaze, smoke fills the atmospheric room. Candles worshipped above the seashore. Black ravens at a time of religion. We all belong together in harmony. I am one with the beers, coffee, liquors, splendid, wonderful. Wizard of white magic, flying through space, corn oils in the gall, god of the cacao, black magic over the mountain, going to the moon or the sunshine. Our life is magic, and that is the proof that magic is real.
Wow.
And there's just one thing. It says God of the, I said cacao, it's very cocoa. God of the cocoa. Lake mint tea, tomato, noodles, pasta. Perfection, supper, man, woman, baby, trust, love, marriage. It's been a wonderful time. Where do we go next, Liv? Alone together on a journey through the galaxy. Tears of blood, green home, keeping my sanity. I'm ready, drunk from the passion of existence. So.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, please join me once again in thanking Chad. Thank you, Chad. You know, for those of you that are just coming here to listen to poetry, I hope that you're being sparked creatively. For me, I get that, but I also see, like Chad, like Ethelrida, to me it's like flowers blossoming. You know, it's beyond whatever I can use with words to tell you. It's this wonderful feeling of seeing somebody just being so generous with their spirit and their talent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Bill, for recognizing, you know, the essence of everybody and what they can offer, truly.
Yeah.
You know, Bill, our wonderful Bill, one of my very best friends, is now named to the Order of Canada. Okay. Are you finished blushing?
Not quite. I think they'll change their mind maybe.
I ordered a new dress. They cannot.
Oh, okay.
For you, I hope.
No, for me.
Bill has to wear a new
No,
dress.
Bill's going in a t-shirt, right? Yeah, of course. Okay, so the next person is also one of these extraordinary people in this community. He's an award-winning writer. He's an interesting thinker. And he said, you know, he doesn't know what else to say, but he'll talk to you about his book. And I just wanted to say how happy I am that you have the spirit to be here. Everybody, join me in welcoming George Zancola.
Stand out here, it's a wide load. Thanks, Sid. Thank you, everybody, and I'm so grateful to be here among so many wonderful writers. I didn't get to be any way a writer, if I'm any way a writer at all, I didn't do it alone. It was in community and it was with others, so and I've had ups and downs with my writing. I once threw out 3 garbage bags of stuff and more, but I'm keeping everything now, and I had a difficult time recently, but I looked back at some old poems, and I rather than throw them out, I preserve them, and these are, when I introduce myself, I ramble a bit, and it don't make no sense, so I'll try and make that up by shutting up and reading poems, I guess, but there's there are 8 poems. I'm under 10 minutes, so The first one is called Let's Make the Hour Run. I was going to sing it, but I'm not a singing voice, so I...
Doesn't matter, sing it.
Sing it.
Oh, I can't do that. I must confess, I've been looking for a little poetess. I ain't read your poetry, but we're off to a fine start anyway. You wear that red beret, you look so revolutionary. You're no revolution at all, it's the way you wear that red beret. Baby, let's don't waste time. Let's make the hour run. We've come into some money. Your great aunt has died. She left us no instructions except on how we were to get high. I told you about the boss. He had a broken heart. He could only express a sense of loss by shouting, I am the boss. Baby, let's don't waste time. Let's make the hour run. I met you for the first time over dinner. I fell for you deeply then. It wasn't your disposition, baby. It was your table manners. We're ordinary citizens, so what can anyone expect? We'll get to where we're going, and we'll get there so direct. Baby, let's don't waste time. Let's make our run. That's a little ditty-like poem. And these poems go back like 20 years plus. So I'm saying this. Okay, this is called She Wore a Blue Velvet Coat. About the same person. I wrote the ditty up before. But, the moon looked like a cat in a high wire act. I was toiling with the fact, trying to do it with a little bit of tact. I saw you standing there, something golden in your hair. You were chatting up the crew just so that they would love you. Your passport picture, I've wiped it clean. Now I can go anywhere in this town. And it's blue velvet, coming through, coming through. The old-time comedian on the TV was trying to make him laugh. But the best part came when you told the man with 3 tongues to shut up and listen, you might learn something. Everybody knew that I was with you by the way I'd always jump in right on cue. The circus was in town. You had lunch with an old clown who held one point of view to be true. The better part of me was you. And it's blue velvet. It's just blue velvet coming through, coming through. The man who's going nowhere stood in his living room and hummed a few tunes. He recently lost his employment of blowing up balloons. His name it is still whispered in 1 or 2 dark rooms. He was the first to arrive just to bring you this bouquet. Hey, it's the only way I know how to say that I loved you. That's blue velvet coming through, coming through. And thank you. So there's two about the wind. Poems about the wind, I guess. Wind number 1 and wind number 2. Cleverly titled. I'm sorry I couldn't get around to wind number 3. But anyway. Wind number 1. The wind against which I struggle rages with its fury sealed in untouchable horror. I applaud my choice of enemy. Wind number 2. I reap what of the wind with an empty hand? I reap eternal questions that linger like stray dogs in the wind's wanderings. I reap what I sow, and I sow that which is clutched like sawdust in an empty hand. And those are wind poems. And this is called What Is It? And yeah, I guess it's about not being on the same page in a conversation. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But anyway. What is it? Is it something working to freedom as a backup for the spirit's touchstone to the heart? Is it a burning lack of trust of self or others of God? Is it a new beginning stated without a word for emotions accruing to it in the nights of weeping past the pain? What is defined in a fleeting time of freedom and a history achieved to illumine a thought of life, of love, of abundance, coming alive again with power where once reigned fallen grace? Old worlds and new words blend. But what is it, babe? What is it to you? And this is about like taking a walk in the snow, but for very different reasons. Anyway, okay, so this is called An Evening Walk. Thank you very much. Yeah, just look up to see if everyone's still there, right? An Evening Walk. Dusk enveloped my window, shadows drew me forth as if I were a snake charmed by an unseen charmer. I walked out of my room moving leaden like a military tank. Hypervigilance, hypersensitivity, and radar were built into my armor. Unwashed, wide-eyed, part tragedy, part fast, unfocused, not present, aware, but not able to see I've done the research on how to get out of this shit life. Flashes of poetry won't do it. I must use some other tool than the one that got me into this mess. A hard life and its loneliness are like a bride who lets me chill at the altar without instructions on how to handle gloominess. And number 7, in case anyone's counting, errors. I stated my error. I said to her, I'm fighting with time. I read from a book of poems to prove it. That was another error. I had no idea what I really wanted to say. Flight would be a wrong thing I was telling her. Another mistake. Then I told her about the changes I'd like to make. There was a waking from the sleep of death and forgiveness that needed to be sought. Ringing bells would play in the in-between, as if love were apportioned to everyone, as if it were already there, a soft cushion to hang a head or a heart upon. I said I'll leave, but the assertion was unsound. The premise was invalid, mistaken. I told her I am lying, the truth is unfounded. Inaccurate thought ribboned like a dance within a dance. Listen, this is our song, she cried. Yes, I said, and I pulled her up by the hand, and the dance floor sank with a stone into water. So, someone requested, I don't know if she's here, someone requested a poem called Madness that I've written, but she's not here. But I wasn't.
You get to hear it though.
So, I can't read. I'm not going to read it because it takes up like 5 minutes or so. But I wrote another one about about insanity. Like that's. So I'm going to slip that in there. Ode on Insanity. It's called. Insanity removes the pancake makeup from the moon, and looks upon the angel who stood watch on the bridge through the night. Insane ideas are like a steam rising from the hot asphalt property called the world. An unnecessary rider in the unneeded contract between man and the wind, insanity tears a dream into headache and anxiety at the jostle of its song. A coin in the jaws of our clothes, a dark eye forever wanting to see. Insanity takes the root of an intimate scratch to the heart. The insane thought is a crooked flag, a prayer at the door, the waters in a dream, the candle for loss, a glossary for everything. An insane notion is a roving trespass, the writing on the wall, the last cheer for self, a breath lasting only so long. Like an alarm trip to the scaled wall or a broken toy or searchlight scratching at the edge of a dream. Insanity becomes the price by which freedom is redeemed.
Wow,
So anyways, counting, this is number 9. So.
Nobody's counting.
I do. Anyway, I have a lot of stage fright. It's good. Not my favorite thing to do sometimes, but anyway, so I had a difficult time recently with my health, and I had a little difficulty. I stopped writing. I couldn't write. It was very torturous not to be able to do that. I want to thank Bill for kind of getting me back into writing, and so I'm grateful for that. Showed him some writing and said you should keep going with this. And so this is not what I'm going to read, but I'm grateful and thank you. Thank you all too for being here, for listening to my woes and my cry. That's so important for all of us. Anyway, this is the last one. I thought I heard your voice tonight. I've struggled and I've searched, and when I thought I hit pay dirt, all the questions became meaningless, all the answers null and void. That's one way for me to say I thought I heard your voice tonight, coming in from the window, coming in from over the lake. When I was ready, my hand became unsteady. I placed the bed down, straight flushes came up all around. That's one more way to say I thought I heard your voice tonight, coming up the driveway in the walk, sitting down on the porch. I am condemned, though no one can guess it. If they'd look me in the eye, I'd gladly confess it. By which I mean to say I thought I heard your voice tonight, rising up with the breeze, settling down with the sea. They said, speak up to be heard. I took them at their word. In theory it worked so well. In practice there was nothing to tell. And that's another way to say, I thought I heard your voice tonight, from a corner of the street, drifting up into the leaves. I hear it around here a bit, your voice and the lilt in it. I don't find it in the empty air. It's in my heart, I hear it there. And that's exactly why I say I thought I heard your voice tonight. From this furthest shore, from this furthest watch. Yes, I thought I heard your voice tonight, coming in from the window, coming in from over the lake. Thank you all. Thanks so much. Okay.
Long time no see.
Oh, good.
From Poets My Bags.
Well, we have to go now.
All the time.
And we have to continue. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Come again. So everybody in the hall, there's chairs out in the front row. Oh. Please join me in saying to George Zancola, thank you, George. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your work with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So next person who is a really active member of this community is the incomparable Martin Owen, who wanted me to tell you that he's artsy. So I'll say that he's artsy, artsy, artsy. Yay, Martin.
Pintura Luila Sibidi Vasila Masiva Bukala Pintura. Anyway, I just I like to paint and I like to draw and I've been doing it since I'm Eli and I'm 60 and not sexy. So, and the youngster moved out of the elite from the family 5-story mansion, 1,000 acres of orchards, streams of property. The rest of the family play golf. Spring tapped tree maple trees of syrup. Father lawyer, mom designer. Desiree Gusteau, do you think Father Houston is hallucinating? Man made 1,000 cheesecake pieces on a elongated large table. Many children from families munched and eat. Chomp, 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 screaming, giggling. Meanwhile, the youngster with the endless amount of illnesses and inflictions never heard family for lots of long times and years. Crunch in a room, 2x4 wall, hot plate, and a phone. The phone rang, finally rang, and later called. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, hi. Do you still love me? Do you still love me? Again. Do you still love me? Quest. I'm dying. Does this person say to one night stand, or do you not in my will, whether it is them or it, or she, them or it? Is there anything you want for grabs? Because scenario, I won't go too soon. Reply, the elephant in the room. Thank you, goodbye, click. The elderly grandfather asked his grandson, how's school, Jeff? Oh, I failed every subject. I was suspended from twice, almost expelled. Let by a doctor's to sign me into the school. I lost my wallet at my after school's dishwashing check at the Pie in the Sky restaurant. Some bully locked me up in the gym locker room, and early the next morning the phys ed teacher let me out. I got punched out by over every gal and guy in the class for in history and social studies for idolizing Donald Trump. Also ended up in the hospital for someone putting acid in my coffee. Grandfather replied, "That's great, Jeff. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work." Living in mid-70s in the island of Crete, the town of Palaiora, Greece, under a bamboo huts with my ma, and the chicken Indian guru Buddhist con artist. Do you go for the wine? Did you go for the wine, or did you go to wine? Meanwhile, property of Dad's cottage Glen Montero, 1975, listening to the Crosby, Stills and Nash song "Our House." Meanwhile, in Palaiora, I a youngster, about Ma, Bro, and us, serenade. I serenade, I light the fire, you place the flowers in the garden, Butchamode, little pity pan and the toad, the Butchamode, little pity pan, endless smile, dude, endless smile, dude, endless smile, dude. End of night TV, 5 p.m., 79-year-old man leaving without TO in his Dart Swinger Pontiac. 12 noon, drop 5 hours to catch the edge of night to a edge of night episode. 560 miles to north of Willowdale TV suburban Green Lakes AstroTurf. Summer days, 4th of July. Elderly man with Mickey Bray cigar and cane. Press gas. Zoom! 70 miles an hour. No ticket, no want. The 4 fishtail mile long cottage trip Harcourt Park. His elderly wife knitting, crocheting, knitting one needle. Smoking on the as a catch, stay home alone, and not lonely. Elderly man just arrived, 9:30 sharp. Channel's 79 years old. Punched the bloody, poured a Bloody Mary, and lit a cigar. TV on, and click channel 79 TV channel. The edge of night. Warm the couch. Sip puff in the mouth, and at the edge of night. Younger years, feeling depressed and like my own company, in delirium, music, drinking, smoking weed, and being a stone cold loser. Catatonic with psychotropic meds. So you make a mark on the canvas, record a scream sculpture. Go to the group home, the Wednesday night pizza slice, the Bob Dylan rhyme, the unshaven face, the eviction notice, older watching too, the U.S. President saying to the London Prime Minister, calling him, "You're a stone cold loser." So, thank you.
Enjoy all this applause for you. Are you leaving us, Simon?
I do have to leave, I'm sorry.
Well, just before you go, I want everybody to meet you. This is Simon Constam, poet, writer, man about whatever. But you know, we do this event about 4 times a year, and the next one will be in December. And Simon Constam will be one of the readers. Very interesting poetry. I don't know if we still have it here or if you took it home, but anyway, Simon, thank you so much for being
Nice to
here.
meet you all, or some of you.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. Talk to you later. So aside from Simon, you really should know some of you. Michael Cobb, who is such a supportive. I think of Michael as a pillar of the Secret Handshake. So Michael, that's for you. Yes. Everybody, if you don't know Sarah Wells is with the Friendly Spike Theater Band. So that's Sarah. What would I do without Henry Martinuk, or as Bill says, Monsieur Henri, with the brilliant eye for photography? That's Henry. And where did Martin go? Marty was here. Oh, there you are. Martin Smith, also a great supporter of this community, and another one of those people with an eye for photography. John Blacos, who later may show you a book that he's recently had published, his artwork, his story for children. It's extraordinary.
It was just sold to the gentleman that left.
Well, then,
I'll bring another one December.
there you go. He'll be on the program in December, as will be Nordine, who went somewhere, and you, Roberta. And just come stick your head in here, Nordy. This is Nordine. She's on the program in December. Let me see, for the people who I know, Kathy Adachi, one of the wonderful supports of voice yoga. Kate does so much for us, and later she will offer you a cookie if you have no objections to sugar in your system. Let me see. Don Stabler, poet extraordinaire from High Park Poets. Brad, another great stalwart support for the Secret Handshake. And the rest of you, I don't think I know very well at all. Otherwise, I would say something. So, unless something comes to me in the next second or two, I would like you to join me in welcoming David McCue, whose poetry is really worth the wait in this program, and another support for us here at the Secret Handshake. David McCue, thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to apologize first off for having to read in my walker, but my legs aren't in very good shape, I'm afraid. So, anyways.
That's okay.
No need for
I
apologies.
understand.
Anyway, this is a poem about how much I hate corporations. It's called Intolerance Incorporated. Are there more horrid beasts than corporations, Philistine multinationals who hold the environment hostage? Many dump toxic waste into our air and water, omnivorous gargoyles of convention, whose precious bottom line represent odious sensibilities that pollute humanity to the same extent that they soil the planet. Billionaires with a B chortle complacently over innumerable conquests over nature and the beauty it represents. Were these people born without souls, or were they hammered out of their beings by the sledgehammer of greed? Should things continue at their present pace, will we have a planet left for these suits to defile? I don't know about anyone else, but Earth is where I keep all my stuff. The morally challenged behemoths, also known as CEOs, give thousands of raises concurrent to times when countless people of integrity have to choose between food and rent. To state the emotionally, painfully obvious, one can only imagine the contempt the Weyerhaeuser Company has for trees. Disgust rivaled only by the contempt the politically sound have for the Weyerhaeuser Company. What can be done for the ethically constipated? It remains a metaphorical concern. Some people just can't poop. This is called foot and mouth disease. I am not intellectually vacant, but ever so often the little hamster stops running in a little wheel. I specialize in verbal flatulence, an odious string of syllables that cries out for internal intellectual deodorants. Stinking up a conversation is something I have down to an art form. The emotionally gorgeous perfume of discourse appealing to the soul can be shattered to its roots by my subconsciously ruinous input. Most people in their teenage years say stupid things. I was among them. In years subsequent, I have tried to learn the value of tact and diplomacy, but when I am spiritually unhinged, good sense sprouts little wings and wafts cruelly out the window. I now realize that my filter is self-employed and works on a part-time basis, taking paid vacation when the spirit moves, leaving me a forlorn little soul given to freelance farting of the verbal vernacular. At 67, I remain unmarried. Gee, I wonder why. This is called civility. Those of us who are congenitally civil, standing behind the door when they were passing out the spit and vinegar. I don't go looking for trouble, so it tends not to find me. I'm careful about what I say. I'm careful about how I say it. Verbally self-policed. The Scotland Yard of my mind. Interpol of the soul. Confrontations can be verbal or physical. I am a gentle soul unsuited for either. I'm a Canadian, in other words, isometrically polite. In recent years, my self-image has improved. For many years, I was a full-time caregiver. It was the right thing to do. It helped me too. I learned that I can withstand pressure, a quality that helps you get through life, at least in this world. Life has been good to me, but I wouldn't want to live mine all over again. Like anyone, my life experience is rooted in past experience. Human beings are resilient, remarkably so. I'm glad life is not a movie set. Certainly, certain events I would not want to relive. A generic no thank you to take two. Thank you. I ran out of things to write about a while back, so I thought I would write some poems about artists whose lives and work have inspired me, artists who I revere. This is a poem about one of those artists. This is a poem about John Lennon.
About who?
John Lennon. Enough insight for 10 psychotherapists, artistically married to a capacity to compose songs that reflected a society crying out for reflection. The engine room of a band so iconic that their timeless work will continue to dazzle, like a musical answer to the Aurora Borealis. The sizzling steak of their greatness make today's band sound like cheap chuck burgers. Their genius was a triumphant Bloody Mary, rendering the competition to the status of mere tomato juice. His solo career reflected a lifelong quest for truth and an uncompromising idealism most famously showcased on Imagine. He was a pioneer in terms of his life as well, being in the vanguard of men who stayed at home. Long before house husbandry became an emotional gift to a family unit, evolving like fine wine. It was a soul-enriching gift to have been present during his lifetime. Thank you. Do I have time for one more?
Of course.
Okay. This is called Unsolicited Discouragement. I am grateful that I have the desire to create. It is a blessing and a privilege. A creative being that roars within me, an opportunity to open a vein and bleed metaphors. People who resent creativity live a linear left-brain existence, punctuated by a dripping faucet of boring predictability even a new set of washers would not alleviate. If they choose to live this way, they could at least have the cosmic courtesy to refrain from emptying their bowels of intolerance about those who could not imagine their lives without their art. An astral aerosol tinted bathroom spray is perpetually required. I don't ever recall trying to sell an untalented soul on the joys of creativity. Is it the snaring beast of envy that motivates them to thoroughly expectorate on the open heart of an artist? Or is it simply the uncaring residue of a life of moral constipation, accentuated by an unhealthy preoccupation with stocks and bonds? I do not care about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, nor do I care about those who do. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'll do one more. Okay. This is the last one from Unread. Dreams. Dreams are vital. Where would any of us be without them? What would possess a person to stomp on a dream? I am grateful for mine. In terms of a working life, my parents left it up to me. There was never any pressure to do one thing in particular, and I'm grateful. Dreams can refuel our energy quotient, and they can keep us sane. As the Rolling Stones sang, lose your dreams and you will lose your mind. Ain't life unkind? One lovely thing about a creative life, you are outside the mainstream. When I consider life within the mainstream, I'm glad this is the case. For a happy working life, find something you love to do, then find a way to make a living at it. My mother once said she will never be rich, but she will always be happy. Sentiments I share, coupled with gratitude for freedom of spirit. Thank you all.
Soft, David.
I hope you agree with me that his poetry is really, really worth, paying attention to. And if you don't, keep it to yourself, but if you do, join me. I think it's time to hear the voice of a woman. But before I do, so you've met some of the people who are here, and I also think you should recognize some of the wonderful, genuinely wonderful artwork that is on the walls. So besides Bill and Naomi, who else here has stuff on the walls?
Zan. Martin.
Martin, where's yours, Martin?
Owen over there.
Jeffrey Sal.
Zan Redcrow. This wall here.
Marty, do you have something up here?
Not today.
Okay, not today. Are you leaving?
Just going out here.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so when you get a chance afterwards, please have a look around at the beautiful artwork. Because, as Bill said, one of the artists is about to join us in her literary thoughts and writings. And I don't really know what else to tell you about this great, dedicated person who enriches so many people's lives, Zan Redcrow.
Thank you.
That was a bit of a surprise, too. I wasn't sure I was going to get to read. I don't have access to much of my poetry right now, but I wrote something last night. And how far back do I go? I guess there was a time in my life when really the windows parted and I was led by
I don't
dreams.
know what's going on, but
Let's get a key to the bathroom.
Oh.
One moment.
sorry about that.
No worries.
I just didn't want my concentration to be interrupted.
Yeah, better, okay.
All right.
Aura around you too.
A long, long time ago when I was a young woman, I started teaching myself how to lucid dream. And I'm going to make the story kind of short. That was for a whole year, and during that lucid dream I received a lot of help, I guess spiritual help from guides, really. And out of that I was through dreams again, not dreams just on my end, but with the Ojibwe people that I was guided to. I came to live in a tent way back in the woods with an Ojibwe community who are living traditionally. Like I say, I don't have access to my poems, but I did write a whole bunch of poems called Crow manuscripts about that time. This is something I just wrote last night, and I mention that story because it does refer to an Indigenous woman, but pretty sad story. I just want to give you that heads up. So here it is. Clutch. I scramble down the ditch and dig out the edge of it, wipe off the dirt. It's an old purse like my great auntie's. I open the clasp. A massive spider scrabble across her face. It's a faded ID card from Bruce Manor Insane Asylum, long-term care and rehab. They closed that hellhole down years ago. She's an escapee, probably trying to get back home to the reserve. The card is creased, erasing her eyes. A spider has stopped and perches on her lips. What sound would she have made before it happened? Decaying powder puff, its sick perfume and balm smothering the rod. What else is here? Is that a shoe? A bit of cloth? Oh, here. A rosary, a feather, and a beaded pouch. It still holds tobacco, a bit rancid. I clutch it to my chest. It's getting dark. I've got to get out of here. Claw my way back to the road, back in the car, crouch inside its artificial light, heart beating like a machine. Somewhere else, in some other dream, she has arrived at the edge of her camp, stops to free her feet, slip on the moccasins from her bag. They're waiting for her, preparing the feast. The fire is burning inside the circle and will burn till dawn. Scent of sweetgrass, sage, of home. The elder has returned. The children are gathered round to hear the old teachings, to hear the old songs. Somewhere else, in some other dream. Well, she's probably lying further down the ditch, what's left of her. Maybe by the wild roses, but I'll let her be. She made it this far on this old abandoned road. And probably died, thinking she was free.
Zan, oh my goodness, Zan. So, our next, what I call the penultimate reader, is James Dunnigan, who has read here before. He's going to hopefully share something from his new book. He's a political writer, a current events writer, a deep thinker, an intellectual, and I don't know what else to say. Are you sending me notices to what to say? No? Okay,
no,
fine.
That sums it up really well, thank you.
Okay, good. So anyway, please join me in welcoming James Dunnigan.
A historical event. So, Chubba, Tommy says, why do you say you're so crazy? Chubba says, Janos came to my apartment once to drink. He says, I have this manuscript in Syriac, but it has something in Ottoman in it. I started to read it. I soon realized it's a recipe for a narcotic. It's nearly 11 in Buda at Balin's Galeria Cavezo, and we are eating KFC in 3 buckets with chipotle sauce, and Balint wants us to leave because tonight's museum night. He'd like to see a few paintings before the end of the world. Tommy, ready to leave, gets up and shatters a glass. She says, I can pick it up, Balint. He says, whose dick do I have to suck for you to all shut up and leave? He'll sweep the shards in the morning, I guess. At the next pub, Yanni quotes from the Quran and Tommy from Petufi Shandor, and I answer with Yeats and René Char, and our drunk Albertan friend twists in an oil sand haze to sleep. Yevgeny Prigozhin is leaving Voronezh, and Chaba returns from his piss with a smile, and I think, have Wi-Fi enough to map my way home. The stars, like specks of glass, rain in our lashes as we leave, and day comes swearing with sunlight to sweep me, then the moon and Venus away. Thanks for having me, and thank you, Bill, and thank you, Honey, for organizing this event. Thank you, Michael Cobb, also as well, for the usual This is a wonderful venue, and I'm very, very honored to be reading here with so many friends. I only have a few pieces, and I'm just going to kind of go through them. Not much of an introduction. I am going to be reading from my 5th chapbook, Iceberina. You can approach me later if you'd like to buy a copy. So anyway, dogs. My childhood dog, Cheddar, when my father and I were about to fight, would bark at each of us before it started. If you do not like dogs, either a dog or a human has been cruel to you. The dog who looks at me in the Park X dust with lustrous fur, who knows me, is afraid of cars, but sits with us still in the kitchen as truckloads of beer rumble through us. My love is a wanderer. Her dog is the wind. I am composing this poem from the bottom up, like a dog following the trail of ascent to the bright marrow bone of its source. Woo. The only winners at Troy were the dogs. This dog is not a blackbird. It is not that a dog is like a human, or that humans are like dogs, but that all life is vaguely dog-like, barking alone at night and sniffing for food.
Yeah.
Thank you. This next poem is about a bar down the street that I call the best place in the world. It's called the Cloak and Dagger.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know it, eh? Yeah, exactly. And this is about being, I think Chad was, I can quote one of the, Chad Juriansza had a line like, being one with the beers. This is about that. You know? It's the end of August and I roll in on a laundry day at the Cloak and Dagger for a Henderson's Best and a whiskey to talk with Brian and not write anything like this for once. As pint-like poem, so easily sipped and chased with sex, or more of itself, despair, its backyard fires and faces and cars, the headaches of this foaming world are home. Across the kitchen, across the street, the kitchens curse the rich. The dug-up sidewalk spites its walkers and its dogs, its streetcars wail to strollers, and the sun just sucks today. But here in the dewy dark at the Cloak and Dagger, heaven's dandruff shines the urinals, and we grow like fungus in our ragweed stools, sweating and sporing in time.
Woohoo! Yeah! You gotta read that and open my night down.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Yeah. I hope that's an accurate picture. You know, like I think you. Yeah.
You got it almost 100%.
Thank you so much. This is a completely different vibe. We're in Switzerland now, and we're in front of Roman ruins on Lake Geneva, and it's called the Roman Ruins on Lake Geneva. A column of smoke on the French side, on the Swiss 3 of reassembled stone. 2 holding up a grapevine frieze, 1 severed halfway holding up the sky. Swallows, sails, wild swans. The Alps somewhere in the morning haze. The thaw of so many thousands of liters of permafrost. Yesterday, my aunt, as we sat on the porch, was saying they'd evacuated several towns not far ahead of an incoming landslide. The melt had loosened up a shelf of granite big enough to bury all of them. One family, she said, was given 2 hours to see their home one final time before the fact. If the mountain came down little by little, rather than all at once, their village might be saved. The smoke is clearing ahead. A chestnut looms over the columns, hewing the sun at an angle. So little's happening, it's almost hard to breathe. That everything here is a ruin incoming is plain. Whether a ruin for you means a buried home in the mountains, or the burial done, a pair of eyes or hands quarried with sorrow, clinging to what's left. This last one's about Montreal. No, it's penultimate one. This is called Caldera, and it's about being back in Montreal, which is my hometown. No, Montreal, I am not coming back. I am not yet your favorite son, not yet deserving of kitsch me in bronze to put up in your parks. And though I am still seasonal, horny for coasts, I'm still not so Canadian. No matter how bland a north my life might seem to me. I don't like what I am when I return. I hate seeing the world pinched with those slight, annoying changes dream-like time alone accumulates. Often I hope that old caldera in the mountain blinks with fire again and blows away your settled stones, condos, and traffic cones, tosses the fossil wheels of shells imprinted in your parking lots far off over the green retreating ruin of the Champlain Sea. I hope the printed shell of you I hold, bathed in the magma of my heart, erupts one day out of the green of me, a better green to cover it after its ashes settle, when you and I are both long gone after 1 billion years.
Woo!
Very last one, and this is actually from the chapbook that I mentioned. It doesn't have a title. There are such twistings in the fictions of our flesh, and they are more than half we see. But look, today the air around me's thin as an eyelid, and the mid-season steps out drunk into the straight hungover, ash on its breath, winter shagging its hair. Rat corpses under receding snow where I walk, and there is new sense to be made of that Baudelaire I read in the metro between two stops when the Green Line shut down 20 minutes for a cell between the tracks, between me and work, between 2 days in the townships, between the lake and the border. Oh my liminalities, 10 cents for every one of you and me be richer than Jeff Bezos. In the glass sun mirrored in the wet tar beneath me, poésie au toit reflet dans l'obsidienne. Where did I put my keys? Why am I not in love? Where will my ashes go when I am dead? In the transfixion of the instant, all these lies of space. Because there's no such thing as moments or places. They are only where we stop our eyes in the snowfall in Quebec City this morning. If I forget, it's best we can't hold time. If I forget to stop my eyes to moment in the angle you look back at me, forgive me, hundreds are dead in Italy, I've never been to Rome. If I forget to stop my eyes a moment in the drift of yours, may their two mouths parch forever. May they dry up like stars in puddles of spring rain. There is no check-in until 3. I'm going to Toronto. Don't get too fucked up. If I forget, car la vie, est-ce que c'est autre chose, she said, que de tisser en araignée des fils de la mémoire entre les objets que l'on aime. And yeah, we need another war, I heard another drinker said. So easy to offend these days. Would give us something else to think about. If I forget, vois-tu la poussière là-dessus? On aurait assiégé une pyramide, elle n'eût pas été plus tenace. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Passe-moi donc le balai. That night we danced, an American Marine came to see us with names and flaming innards tatted on the skin of both his arms. I asked him what he thought. He smoked those menthol cigarettes. How was the weather in Afghanistan? If I forget, c'est parfois possible mal se d'oublier, mon cher. Mal se souvenir, ça tue plus fort que la mort. If I forget, sometimes it's not so bad to forget, my dear. Badly to remember kills stronger than death. If I forget while the world labors under alien wages, living in crumbling homes, watching the Republic die, love is ash scattered in sunlight. If I forget the theoretical vastness of the ocean, if I forget to wash my hands, if I forget, remember there is always somewhere else to go or something else to say. Why don't we dance tonight? I said a French guy always dances better than an Anglo guy, and I am only half Anglo myself, you know.
Thank you so much, James. Anyway, so we had the penultimate, and now we're going to have the ultimate. But before we welcome Daniel to our stage, Please know how very much your presence here is appreciated. Thank you for spending such a beautiful afternoon with us. And please stay for a little bit, enjoy the artwork, get to know one another. And I can't think of any other announcement or anything, so having said that, please join me in welcoming Daniel Maluka, who is such an up-and-coming poet, bon vivant, man about town, person who has a new book coming out, and he will tell you all the little details. Daniel!
Hello, so thanks to Bill, Honey, the whole Secret Handshake team. My book is out. I do have copies of it with me. Here it is. In addition to that, my friend Sheldon and I, we recorded a poetry mixtape. A lot of people are on it. And we recorded it here, like in that far room. So thanks to Bill and everyone for letting us record it that day. Yeah, it's like an archive of different poets. David Bateman is on this, Paula Rucosta, a lot of people. So I'll start by reading something new. New is in within the last 2 weeks or so. So this one is called Maximum Africa. In our home, back home was never out of reach. Back home, from home, our home were words that lived on each of our tongues. We made a place for back home inside our bodies. Whenever my mother mentioned home, I knew she didn't mean the space and place in Toronto that we occupied. It was in her tone and in her inflection. The look in her eyes made it clear which home. Two places exist dual in my mind, home and the place I lived. Home is never apart from us, my mother said. Making every effort, she would call home, write home, think of home, hear home, see home in our dreams. Flashes and figments forever fading in my mind's eye, each memory fading. The long years between trips, go to the tuck shop, my mother would say, and get some phone cards. My sister went and I would accompany her, her younger shadow, chewing her ear off about Beyblades and Majin Buu. My mind too small to notice subtleties in the eyes of strangers. My mind safe at harbor from waves of cruelty. The phone cards we came back with were Maximum Africa for $5, Good Call for $10, African Dream for $5, 0011133220033311. The endless stream of numbers my mother had to enter, followed by the country code, followed by the pound key, said the robot voice leaking through the phone. What time is it back home? My mother would ask, her hands hovering over the keyboard like a farmer bird inches above water. More often than not, these calls would cut prematurely, right when my mother got one of my aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, family friends, high school friends, and my grandmother on the phone. Time remaining, 35 minutes. Time remaining, 20 minutes. Time remaining. Connection and calls back home, fleeting like sand through my mother's fingers. The phone cards are a scam, she said, and that day she asked me to get more from the tuck shop. That day my sister didn't come with me. The only company I had was my own shadow. The only company I needed was my own thoughts. My mind racing with thoughts of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Manchester United. The owners of the tuck shop would change hands often. Older couples, younger couples, good English, bad English, no English, kind, cruel. That day, the line was long and I was lost in thought with X-Men, the animated series, and the fantasy novel I dreamed of writing. Empty your pockets now, the tuck shop owner yelled, pointing a finger in my face, while his wife and everyone in the shop looked on. Startled and in a daze, I did what the adult demanded, my pockets now upturned and empty. The man in front of me in line shook his head and gave the owner a stern look, his reaction quickly shaping my understanding in the moment. The moment adding another dimension between home and the place I live. There's one I have that's like brand new. I've never read this before. This one is called Against Him. If his heart speaks against him, in bruised English, broken and chewed, on his tongue sits the foreign coin. He spits mangled metal taste, places it on palm. Gold gleaming pale, brimstone, hand outstretched, the toll collector. At the cliff face, the edge of eternity, lava's soup bubbles, boiling souls below. Low gurgle of their torment billows out, their cries rising with the heat, his skin raised with fear, acid raised his throat. Gold coin, a gift from her to him, her warm hand on his cold mouth. The collector looks at the gleam, motionless, indifferent, vacant eyes looking through him, mouth sewn shut. He stands, hoping his heart does not speak against him. Silent prayer going out to any god, demigod, apparition, ancestor. Sweat dripping from nose tip to fingers tip. He could silence the assault of memory, torrent of shame and its stiff odor, words sharpened by malice, hardened. His body swaying in delirium, he saw himself above his body. His mind spoke against him, and he saw his loving and loving badly. The flesh of those burning below, invading, digging down deeper into his cold depths. The parts of him he wished had frozen over, thawed out, melting ice water, sizzling, frozen, turned hot, trickling from his ears into scarlet-stained earth. Those frigid memories bursting from his mind's icebox, the toll collector, telekinetic tormentor. Through brute force he shoves, translucent images of his pain and pain he inflicted, his shame and shame he inflicted, the mirror image of his life unlived, life incorrectly, his shame an ant to Goliath, to the shame of the creature below. Sight unseen, he smelled it, skunk-scented. Before he saw, foul odor invaded his nose. The creature invaded the lands of his forebears. This builder, king, lay there at his feet, nude, lashed skin, open wounds, chain pressed tightly to its neck. On its stomach, with its head turned sideways, it reached out, stub first, hand cut off. That skunk odor, rubber. The rubber king reeked of it. Skin exposed, flayed, pus pouring from each pore, a film of pus marking rocks as he crawled forward. Skin green, black, brown, grayed, infected. No riches anywhere to be found. He had nothing of his personal fiefdom. He manifested his destiny, a worm in life, lower than a worm in death, lord of rocks and rubble and ruin, forced to burn and bleed and pour pus day in, day out, to suffer for the length of life debts it owed. 13 million lives it has to answer for. Half-hearted apologies, thoughts of his descendants. I undertook the work of the Congo in the interest of civilization and for the good of Belgium. In the interest of civilization, its skin regenerates each day and it is lashed and ripped open. In the interest of civilization, it feels the brutal amputation of each limb and the regeneration to amputate again. I think I have like a minute left, so I'll read a short one. So, this one is called Stillness. It's from the book. Whiffs of the striding cloud conceal all, but the sight of the sun, accompanied by two bowed heads, revealing all in the face of the altar. Elk sear through snow from the mountain spine, with not even a shrug at their presence. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you so very much. And congratulations on all your success, truly. So everybody, thank you for your long patience and sitting ability. So, shake it up and, enjoy yourselves and please enjoy the art. Thank you for being here.
Yes.